Hey Felicity, how you doing?
Hello, my dear. I'm doing really, really well, thank you. It's such a beautiful day here in Margate, and I've just been out for a quick walk on the beach, which then I had to kind of rush back, but it was worth fitting it in. How are you?
Nice, very good. It's been raining solidly for what feels like forever
Oh,
here in Devon. I mean, the sun's just come out now, but it's been a bit miserable the last few days. But we are delighted to have the lovely Cynthia with us
yes,
today.
yes,
So,
indeed.
welcome, Cynthia. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Thank you. Really good today. Thank you so much for inviting me to come here.
You're so welcome. Crossroads Cafe, we are reaching out. We are speaking to a lot more women now, other women that are entrepreneurs, that are in business, talking to them and learning from them and hearing their stories. So we've invited the lovely Cynthia in today. Now, Cynthia is an online business and empowerment mentor. I want to ask you, which I'm going to get into a bit of detail in a bit, because you talk about teaching business the Zen way, and I want to know all about that because that sounds very interesting. But yeah, so Cynthia's here just to share her experiences in business and how she went about it. So can you just tell us, Cynthia, how did your entrepreneurial journey start? Where did it all begin for you?
Oh, I've been in business. I've been having businesses for the last 20 years now. I was brought up in a business family as well. And
Right.
then I'm originally from Malta, went to London to
Oh,
study, and I spent 20 years in corporate, in
Yes.
banking,
Yeah.
insurance, and finance. However, whilst I was doing that, I always had a drive to start new businesses.
Yeah.
So even when I had my 9 to 5 job, so to speak, in the weekends, once I set up a market stall, for example, doing cooking Maltese pastries. So it was
wow.
crazy,
Love it.
like really crazy stuff. And every time me and my partner, we used to work in banking, in contract work, and then leave, go traveling. And then I used to come back and start a new business
Yeah.
because I never felt really fulfilled in my corporate life.
Yeah.
So I always had this urge that I need to do more and need to do more.
Yeah.
And then just at the same time, actually, in the same week that I had my son, I'm very much into yoga. I've been into yoga for like the last 20 years. I decided to open a yoga studio in London. So
Wow,
we did
that's
that.
quite different, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was
How
like a
long
really,
how old was you at this point? I'm just interested to know, how old was you when you decided to do that?
I think I was 34. I think
Yeah.
I was 34. I should know.
Yeah.
It's the same week when I had my son, my first baby. But then unfortunately we had to close it. It was like a really, really difficult project. Um,
Right.
and we actually lost quite a lot of money. And then we decided to leave for Ibiza when I had my daughter, my second child. And here was I live in Ibiza now, and I started organizing yoga retreats. So I've been doing that
Amazing.
for the last 4 years.
Oh, wonderful.
Amazing.
So you're in Ibiza, Cynthia?
I am, yes.
Oh,
Amazing.
so
How
it's sunny where you are. There's no rain there, I take it.
And it is mostly sunny, shall I say.
Yeah. Oh, how beautiful. How lovely. So that's brought you to where you are today. So why mentoring? Why did that come about?
So during the pandemic, of course, I had to cancel my retreats, my yoga retreats, last year. And I was working with a business coach, and she actually suggested, why don't you start helping other women to start their online business? Because I had so much experience doing that.
Yeah.
And I just ran with it. That was my project during lockdown. And it's been
Amazing.
like flourishing ever since. So yeah, and
oh.
I absolutely love it.
So that's wonderful. That's a very successful pivot for you during lockdown, isn't it? That the pandemic's created the dynamic for you to, you know, to take a different direction and do something that you really love. And it's so wonderful. That's part of the reason we set up these podcasts, because we knew that there would be women that wanted to pivot during the pandemic, whether it was to, change their business or aspiring to start a business. And so we're looking for inspiring stories and hints and tips for them so that they can think, yeah, I can do this, and this is an opportunity. So that's really inspiring, Cynthia. Thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant.
Definitely. Amazing. So when you talk about teaching business the Zen way, just tell us a little bit about that.
So I believe, of course, that when we have a business, and especially if we're juggling family,
Yes.
family life, children, and running a business, we need to really take care of ourselves. So it's a
Yes.
marathon and not a race.
Yes.
Very
And
nice.
so I believe business, I teach business the holistic way. So it's not in terms of our goals and our successes and the money we are making, but also I really believe that we need to keep on moving, meditating, and eating well, sleeping well, and as much as we can, right? So I understand that if we have young kids, sometimes they don't let us sleep, but as much as we can, we incorporate those things so that we don't burn ourselves out, because I've been burnt out in the past.
Yeah, very nice.
Hallelujah. I'm like that. Big up to Cynthia. I love that. I love
Absolutely.
that.
And it's such I think it's a really powerful thing that, you know, women will bring into businesses, or they want to bring into businesses. Maybe it's because of being mothers, and you've got that nurturing thing where you've got to look out after the whole family, really. But I think it's wonderful, and I'm seeing it more and more with businesses that are successful, that they realize it has to be holistic. They have to look after their people as their people and their best asset, not just, you know, the talent. So it's really lovely to know that you're doing it and it's being successful, and you're pioneering that for other
Definitely.
people with their businesses.
I just feel that's one of the biggest struggles. I know for me, one of the biggest struggles is finding the balance. Do you know what I mean? Just trying to keep it, just finding the balance where I'm not doing too much of this and I'm not doing too much of that. And yeah, especially having children and running a business and having such a drive and a vision for where it is that you want to go. And Cynthia, like you said, you know, you've been successful just over this past year. So you sort of get that gives you that like push, doesn't it? A motivation to just go. But something I'd definitely be interested in hearing more about is finding that nice calm balance. I'm always saying to you, Feliciana, Felicity's amazing when it comes to meditation. She spends a lot of time out, you know, reflecting. And I'm always saying to her, share your meditations with me. I need more.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, I so admire Emma, because she's juggling 3 children, and she moves at 200 miles an hour. And you know, Matt and everything, and she's been really great for me, because I was like pootling along at a comfortable 70, and now I'm like, whoa, I'm up to 110, and whoa. But the reason I have to meditate is I'm really, really kinesthetic. I'm very sensitive to other people's energy and just the general energy that's going about. And if I didn't, I'd be mad as a box of frogs. And in fact, recently, as much as I like yoga, but I'm more of a qigong girl. And we've been having some very exciting days, and I'm just like, right, get off the phone. 20 minutes of qigong to ground the energy, because otherwise I'm just all over the place. So I love my meditation. I call it a blisscipline rather than a discipline, but it's not an add-on. It's the absolute foundation of me having a successful life. So yeah. And saying that, Cynthia, what are some of your habits and practices? Obviously, with a yoga practice, then that's also a very big part of your day. But what are some of your practices and habits that keep you on track?
Okay, so what I have been doing, the only way where I can really scale my business really, really fast, because I'm also like Emma, I work 100 miles an hour. And my yoga teacher actually used to tell me when I was in London, used to tell me, imagine you don't have yoga, right? Imagine you're like
Oh
this
my
without
goodness.
So I was actually working with a business coach, and he really taught me this optimization, all about optimization. So basically it is working in time slots in 45 minutes. Some of us do it in 20 minutes. I'm fine with doing it in 45 minutes. And actually I put the alarm on my phone. I work mainly from the computer and not from my phone. I say mainly because I can't always, we're not all 100% right all the time.
Yeah.
But I try to work on my computer as much as possible. And I do it in 4 to 5 slots. And then I take 15 minutes break. And it's helped me with so much. It helped me with my productivity, of course, but also, it also helped me with like knowing what to do, what I'm doing with my time.
Yeah.
Because in my previous businesses, I was like, what am I doing with my time? I have no idea. So with that, I could track. But also what happened is that my confidence shot up. And the reason is I'm not spending like hours and hours on Facebook and on Instagram looking at what other people are doing and comparing myself. So I am not getting that comparisonitis, saying she's doing so much better than me, because I'm totally focused. This is what I have to do, and then I have to go for the children to school. So that's it. So, and it's really increased my confidence. It had such a big impact in just going for it, basically. And
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's
Time
so
blocking.
Powerful. That's so powerful. And I love what you say about the comparison thing as well. I went for a socially distant walk with a friend yesterday, some exercise, and she used the phrase compare despair. And I thought, oh my goodness, that really does sum it up. We don't need to be looking at what anyone else is doing, because we're unique, and we might be doing exactly the same job, but we'll do it in our own way with our own unique nuances, won't we?
Definitely. And I think when you're looking over your shoulder, you then start, like you say, you start doubting yourself, don't you? And when that doubt starts creeping in, then it's the overthinking, and then it becomes, right, I've got all this stuff to do, I'm overwhelmed, and you just go down that road that you don't want to be going down, especially as an entrepreneur. What was that quote, Felicity, that you said the other day about, and this isn't to put anybody off, but
being an Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, on Clubhouse. What was it he said?
Apparently Elon Musk said being an entrepreneur is like chewing glass and staring into the void. So you've got to be really, really sure that you want this lifestyle, because it's not a job, it's a lifestyle choice, isn't it? So
you need to have that real strong why, don't you? Why you're doing it, have the purpose and have a vision for where it is that you're heading.
Absolutely. And then, as you've said, Cynthia, just breaking it down, because then you can measure it. And I loved one of the things you said. I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, so we might backtrack if I am, but you said about celebrating your successes being a really big part of your approach to your business. So could you tell us a bit about that as well?
Yes, so I tell my clients, and even in the Facebook group that I'm building a community, I always say hashtag winning every day. So it's not about the sales that we're getting. Of course, it is about that, and because at the end of the day, we do need to make money. But it's also the small successes. So, for example, if you're struggling to meditate or doing yoga or any type of exercise, and then you've had a week or even a few days of doing moving, meditation, doing something that you haven't been able to do. So that's a win. So let's celebrate that as well. Nice. Or for example, I don't know, you've got like 5 replies to your email, whereas usually you don't get anything, even if they haven't converted to a sale, but something is going, something is working. So I always say this hashtag winning every day. I love that.
Oh, that's a really brilliant hashtag, because isn't it? We're so, Emma and I would, no, it wasn't, it was my friend I walked with yesterday. We're talking about there's this societal expectation that we push. And, we often end up running around being busy fools, don't we? And we're not getting any pleasure from what we're doing, because we're constantly, okay, now I need to get on and do the next thing. So celebrating your success, I think that's wonderful. Hashtag winning every day.
Every day.
Really love that.
We're going to have to pinch that one, Felicity, I think. I love it. So what about challenges? What would you say have been the biggest challenges over the last year? Well, it's not even just the last year. I mean, obviously you're saying that you created this fantastic platform in London, this yoga studio, and then you had to shut it down, which I can imagine, like you say, it's had a big, not only financial impact on you, but it must have made you feel pretty nervous, but worried about what was to come. So what would you say some of the biggest challenges you've overcome in your sort of entrepreneurial journey?
Oh my God, so many. So in the yoga studio, the reason we lost a lot of money is because we invested a lot in developing the building. And it was like an amazing studio in Canary Wharf. So one of the biggest challenges probably was closing it when we didn't expect to close it. It's because it was my baby, right? So I had my son and the studio opening at the same time. So it was like a big down. And then it was like, okay, how am I going to get this spark again? Like, how is this going to come, you know? So what I did is I then just did creative projects without the need to make money. So I had like a photography project, I had a healthy foods blog to get me back into the creative side. So that was kind of one of the challenges in terms of how do I believe in myself again, to that if I'm not going to be a failure all my life. So that's one of them. And certainly in the last year is how to ride the waves, because of course, as we know, like business is not about just like the big wins, and it's not always good. It's actually really, really hard, and especially in the first 6 months of the business. So for example, when you open a Facebook group and no one is talking to you, you play lives and there's no one there, and you just have to keep going. But also, I think one of the biggest challenges was when I launched my first time the group program, and I got crickets. And even though I ran with the program, I still sold a few at the end. But it was really hard to get back on and doing sales calls, because I was just getting no after no after no. And it took me like 2 months to get back on track, to get the mindset. And basically it involves a lot of mindset work and really believing in myself, and actually saying to myself, the only way is to get back on track and get doing it again. Because if you stop, then you stop, right? There's not going to be any result.
That's it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You know, we talk about failure, and really the only time we actually really fail is if we give up.
If we stop.
If we fall down and graze our knees, that's part of the journey, isn't it? But get yourself back up, get a tribe around you to support you. So Cynthia, did you have any cheerleaders around you as well as the critics? Or, and I know you've said self-belief, so we've got to be our biggest cheerleader ourselves, haven't we? But who did you have around you? Do you have a tribe that supports you?
Yes, so I have my Facebook group that I'm growing. At the moment, I think we're around 700 or close to 800.
Well done.
So basically, I am building like the community. We chat every day. It's very social. It's not just about business. And I probably know pretty much nearly all of them. So because I ask so many questions, I know where everyone is from, and it's a total international community.
Amazing.
And literally we hear from everyone. So I love that, because even if I'm having a down day, I go in there and say it. And the amount of cheer I get from there is like, yes, we are with you today. We are here to support you. So like a few weeks ago, I was in M.Y.T.E actually visiting my family, and I was like, what's happening? I'm posting all of this stuff and no one is doing anything. Like no one is. And then I said it, I was like, are you there? Like, who is there? I'm feeling all on my own. And everyone was like, yes, we're here with you, we're here with you, we're here to support you.
Amazing.
That is it. Honesty. People see it, don't they? I think you've got to be honest, and you've got to be authentic.
And having the vulnerability, even though you're the leader running the group, to say, actually, guys, I really could do with some feedback. Show me a bit of love, you know. And women, I particularly love to do that. So brilliant. And kudos to you, Cynthia, for building the nature of a community that's ready and wants to do that. So that's really lovely to hear.
Yeah, definitely. And I was just going to say, Felicity, going back to what Cynthia was saying before, that seems to be one of the traits that we hear from everybody that we're speaking to, all the women entrepreneurs that we speak to. It's that consistent movement. Like you said, it's like the only time that you really fail is when you give up. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're wanting to start something, or you've just started something and you're doubting and you're procrastinating and you're uncertain whether you can keep going, you have to just keep going, because it's like that is what is going to get you to where you want to go. As soon as you stop, if you've really got a big enough reason why you're doing it, and you've got a goal and you've got a vision for your life and a purpose for it, you have to keep on going and pushing towards it. And navigate, like Cynthia said, Felicity, you always say bend like bamboo, don't you? You have to just be able to be flexible. It never goes to plan. Well, on the very rare occasion it goes to plan, but it's very rarely it goes to plan. But you're learning through the process.
And it's so wonderful when you get through through that tough time and look back and think, yeah, I didn't quit, I'd learned this, okay, let's move forward now with more clarity, better action steps, and let's just rock this, let's make it work. So that's well, that's brilliant, Cynthia. So what else have we got on here? Have we covered all about? So what's next for you? What's in your next few steps with your new business and being in Ibiza? Have you built up a, well, I know, are you in lockdown as well in Ibiza? I'm not sure what the state of play is.
We are in semi-lockdown, so schools are open, but no restaurants, no cafes are open.
Right. Yeah. So you being able to build a face-to-face community, or you just putting stuff in place so that when lockdown lifts, you can run with that, or is it all online?
At the moment, it's all online. Yes. Okay. So when it opens, hopefully I can run my yoga retreats again, or even business retreats as well in the future.
Nice, very
lovely. Nice. So do you do online yoga sort of classes now, or are you mainly focusing on the mentoring?
I mainly focus on the mentoring now. Right. So basically I had to decide, which was a really hard thing to do as well. So I was also building my yoga community at the beginning of lockdown. So we went in lockdown like even 3 weeks before you. So I was one of the first ones to jump in and start doing yoga classes because I'm also a yoga teacher. And but then I had to decide, and it was really hard decision actually, because I got really close with my yoga community, but I couldn't keep on having two groups. So at one point, I remember I took like a weekend off or even a few days off with no social media posting whatsoever. And I had to say, listen, guys, I cannot jump on here anymore, but all my yoga classes are there, and had to focus on the mentoring. Because this is also what I teach, because I see this in a lot of women, actually. They start a business or they are into something, and even because also, of course, without blaming anyone, like the people around them or around us at the beginning, they're not totally supportive of us because they don't know if it's going to be successful. Invest, right? So I always say, if we're going into something, we need to go fully into it. Like we need to step into our power, because otherwise you are like half-hearted. And this is what I did. I was like, you know what, now I really need to step into this and finally like make it like a proper business rather than a business at the side, which I can run with, of course I still want to run it with my family, but I made a decision that it's going to be my long-term business. So I have to decide to fully focus on one community.
Very nice.
It is a hard decision, isn't it? I've done the same thing. It is a hard decision. But there's something empowering about when you own it and you go, right, this is where I'm heading. This is my focus. Because otherwise there's just so many distractions. And there's that guilt. Well, I'm not doing that there. I'm meant to be posting there. I'm meant to be sharing that, and I'm not. And sometimes it's just best to go, no, I've got to park that one to be able to focus on this one.
Do one thing excellently rather than a few things that with mediocrity. That's no good for anybody, is it? So very nice, very nice. So Cynthia, if we have any ladies listening that are thinking, oh, I'd really like to start, I really would like to start my own business, I'm really ready to start chewing glass, what's one thing you'd say to them? What's your first piece of advice you'd give them?
The first thing I say is not to think about it too much and not to do too much research. Is to just like really go for it. And also what I always suggest is not to go ahead and start a website and spend all this money. And it's better to start a community on any social media, because like whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you want to build it, and it doesn't even have to be a Facebook group, can also be Facebook profile, personal profile, because that's where you're really going to talk to your future clients and really see what their pain points are, their desires, and then start forming your idea. And this is what I always say, because I get a lot of my clients, they have a website, they even have a course, but then there's no one to buy it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really good. Find your audience, speak to the right people, and understand what their needs are, what it is they're looking for. So if anyone wants to get hold of you and wants to hear more from you, learn more from you, work with you, how's the best way that they can get in touch with you? What's the best thing to do?
So I have my website. It's called cynthiamikalev.com. It's my name and surname. Or else I'm on Facebook. My Facebook group is called Hub for Driven Entrepreneurs.
Oh,
Wonderful.
wonderful.
And what we'll do, I'll make sure I grab them from you, Cynthia. If anyone's watching back on YouTube, we'll just put the links on the YouTube feed.
Yes.
And the same on the podcast. They're always listed on the podcast. So we'll make sure we've got those there for you.
Definitely. Well, it's been a really wonderful interview with you, Cynthia. You're so inspiring. Love your energy and your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And, it's always great to hang out with someone like that, because I come off these podcasts and Emma and I have said this and we're like, whoa, I feel really great about this.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah. And there was particularly in the beginning when we had like 10 listeners or so. It's like, never mind, we got tons of value from it. So thank you so much, Cynthia. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, ladies, for listening. We'll catch up with you next week. Have a lovely week and we'll see you soon. Take care.
Bye. Bye-bye.
See ya.